As the name Seokjin echoed endlessly from the thousands of mouths gathered in the darkness of the concert venue, even the technical staff behind the stage fell silent. That moment wasn't part of the rundown. No direction from the stage. There is no countdown of the LED screen. But one thing is undeniable. Thousands of voices call out one name with a tone full of longing, as if to break through the boundaries of dimension and time. Seokjin. What exactly made ARMY, BTS's global fanbase known for being disciplined and solid, seem to lose control and create such emotional scenes? Is this just an overflow of longing because Jin is serving his military service? Or is there a deeper meaning that can only be felt by those who followed BTS's story from the beginning? This phenomenon doesn't just happen once. During several BTS appearances, including events where only a few members were present, shouts of Seokjin, Seokjin, it continues to emerge with surprising intensity. Even in concerts that do not directly involve Jin, the audience still brings his figure to life through sound.
Why?
Because the presence of the genie, although physically invisible, still feels strong and real. Seokjin, or better known by his stage name Jin, is not just a member of BTS. He is a representation of honest emotions, sincere sacrifice, and constant warmth. In BTS's journey of more than a decade, Jin showed a development that was not only musical but also emotional. He became a balancing figure in the group, often holding back his own feelings in order to maintain the emotional stability of the other members. This side, which is sometimes not too exposed in the mainstream media, is strongly felt by the ARMY. The cry, as such, is not just about longing. It's a form of confession that the role of the genie is irreplaceable, that although she was not on stage that evening, her soul still merged with the group's performance, and that fans never forget her, even when the spotlight is no longer directed at her directly. Interestingly, many noted that the intensity of the shouting of Jin's name actually increased after he was drafted into the ARMY. At some big concerts such as BTS's Festa, LA Fan Meeting, or other solo album promotion events, Jin's name is never absent from shouting. In fact, in live streaming sessions or events conducted individually by other BTS members, audience comments are often filled with one consistent question: "How's Jin?" Is this just a coincidence? Or is it a strong signal that Jin has created a bond that goes much deeper than just idols and fans? Sociologists of Korean pop culture, in several interviews, stated that this phenomenon reflects an unusual form of collective emotionality. In many cases of fandom, attachments are usually seasonal or limited to when the artist is active. But in the case of Jin and ARMY, this attachment goes beyond the promotion cycle. There is a sort of emotional fabric that has been built through Jin's consistent demeanor, honesty in interactions, as well as his way of sharing his most vulnerable sides in public. Seokjin never positioned himself as the most prominent. He often refers to himself as the ordinary in interviews. But precisely because of that humility, the Jin became a symbol of sincerity. He does not attract excessive attention, but he is present when needed. He doesn't dominate, but he makes room for others. And all this did not go unnoticed by the ARMY. Currently, the world is waiting for the moment of Jin's return from state duty. And as the day approached, the intensity of ARMY's emotions continued to rise. Shouting his name is no longer a matter of noise expression in concert, but rather a collective ritual to remind the world, and Jin himself, that his place remains there, in the hearts of millions of fans who never look away. On a larger scale, the phenomenon also conveys a powerful message about how relationships between artists and fans have evolved in the digital age. Fans are no longer just music consumers. They are part of the journey, of the story, of the personal process of an artist. The ARMY is not just supporting Jin's work. They are taking care of his memory, spreading his energy, and ensuring that he is never completely absent, Behind all the concert grandeur, chart achievements, and glitter of the stage, the moment when voices in unison call out Seokjin is the deepest form of communication that can be had between an artist and his fans. It is not packaged in promotional packaging. It cannot be faked, and it can't be regulated by a script. He was born pure of heart. Now, an important question is worth pondering. If one name can shake the concert arena in such a way, what will happen when it returns physically present, in the center of the spotlight, with a voice that so far can only be remembered? The answer, perhaps, we will see in the near future. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel right now so you don't miss any important moments about Jin, BTS, and the emotional stories that continue to live with ARMY. With one click, you not only get information, but also become part of a collective voice that continues to voice one name, Seokjin. But behind all the emotion and deep resonance that arises from the moments of shouting Seokjin at various concerts and fan gatherings, a big question arises that deserves serious reflection. Is everything we see and hear really a pure expression of the collective feelings of the fans? Or is it part of a narrative that is intentionally shaped, magnified, and possibly engineered? In this fast-paced digital age, every viral moment can turn into an accepted truth without proof. A 15-second snippet of a video on TikTok, a trending comment on Twitter, or an emotional snippet in a YouTube vlog can instantly create a mass perception that it's real. But who controls the narrative? Have we as consumers of information been really thinking critically, or just following the flow formed by algorithms? Some argue that Jin's popularity, which skyrocketed after his enlistment and absence from group activities, was the result of natural longing. But not a few also suspect that the narrative of Seokjin's cry has been chlorinated in order to boost media attention and maintain the group's existence in the midst of a transition period. Is it possible that a collective emotion of this kind could be manipulated by a promotional agenda? And if so, who actually benefits? If you watch the videos that went viral on TikTok with the hashtag JinBTS, you will find hundreds of clips from the concert that show the audience shouting Seokjin's name with tears, even hysteria. But let's ask one important question. Who recorded, who spread, and for what purpose did the video go viral? Is this a sincere form of documentation from fans? Or is it part of a systematic effort to recreate viral moments for engagement? In the midst of a flood of information, facts and opinions often overlap. Genuine-looking videos do not necessarily reflect the overall reality. Mass sounds can be edited, expressions can be cut, context can be omitted. In these circumstances, how do we ensure that what we watch and believe is not part of a media construct controlled by emotions, algorithms, and marketing strategies? Nor can we turn a blind eye to the possibility that the ARMY itself, as a highly organized global community, took part in shaping this moment. Did they consciously create that atmosphere as a form of resistance to the media narrative that ignored Jin? Or is it pure spontaneity that arises from emotional attachment? And if it's the result of social engineering within the fandom community, is that something wrong? Or does it reflect a collective power that deserves respect? The truth, in this case, becomes something very complex. It's not enough just to watch one clip or read one comment. We need to examine sources, compare viewpoints, and question the motives behind the spread of each narrative. Even the big media, be it news platforms or YouTube fan-based channels, cannot escape the importance of popularity and monetization. Is it possible for these media outlets to magnify moments like Seokjin's scream, knowing that it will attract attention, evoke emotion, and ultimately generate clicks, impressions, and revenue? Is this narrative structured in such a way as to keep the Jin's name hotly discussed during its dormant period? We are not saying that all this is a lie, but we also cannot assert that everything is pure and organic. This is where healthy skepticism comes in. We, as connoisseurs of information and as part of the global pop culture ecosystem, have a responsibility to ask further questions. Who is passing on this information? On what basis? And for whose benefit? There comes a time when questions like these feel unpleasant, even painful, pursuing something emotionally close to us. However, without reflection, we run the risk of becoming passive consumers of narratives that do not necessarily reflect reality. So we invite you, the reader, to take a pause and reflect on the following. Do you really believe that every shout of Seokjin is an organic form of expression from the hearts of fans? Is it possible that some of it has been triggered or directed by a viral trend on social media? If it is true that this event was formed intentionally, does it undermine the true meaning of the relationship between idols and fans? To what extent can you tell the difference between facts and manipulated narratives? And most importantly, are you willing to start looking at every pop culture phenomenon with a more critical and analytical perspective? It is important to know that the information we present in this article comes from various sources, including TikTok video uploads, YouTube comments, live broadcasts on the Weverse platform, and observations from Twitter media and
International Forum.
However, we must emphasize that not all of this information has been independently verified. Many of these are still speculative in nature and heavily influenced by community perceptions. That is why, once again, we emphasize, keep critical thinking. Don't swallow every narrative that goes around, even if it comes from a channel you trust. Ask its origins. Consider the motive. Discuss openly, not in echo chambers that reinforce personal biases. Today's information world doesn't lack data. What it lacks is the courage to question it. Finally, to conclude, if one name can shake the virtual and the real world at the same time, imagine the impact if the information regarding that name is not entirely accurate. And now, the question comes back to you. Are you sure that the voices of millions of people are pure truth? Or are they just echoes of a narrative construction shaped by a collective desire to believe?